So you feel good about your chords, your melodies, your drums, maybe even your mixing, but there's always that last step that a lot of producers struggle with: structuring and arrangement. I have something that can help with this. Instead of saving it for the very last step, I'm going to show you how you could structure your beats throughout the production process without even realizing you're doing it. We're going to start with some guitar chords that sound like this. The first thing that goes through my mind is, can I keep playing this throughout the entire beat? Would it be acceptable if I just had that bar after bar after bar repeating through the whole beat? Some songs you could have melodies that you could just play through the entire song, but sometimes you need that switch up. You need to create that variation because it gets tiring to listen to the same sound over and over. My first strategy, my go-to, is always to mess around with the octaves. You want to click on this icon and hit Make Unique. And what I want to do with this is bring it down in octaves. So you would want to go to your pitch wheel right here and drop it down by 1200 cents. As you can see in the top corner of my screen, it says it's at plus 100 cents right now. Every 100 cents is one note. There's 12 notes in an octave. That's why we have to drop it down 1200. 1200 equals 12 notes. 100 minus 1200 would be negative 1100, right? So we just drop that down. We just put it down an octave. Another way, the way that I prefer to do it, because I think it's much easier and you don't have to do crazy math in your head, go to the wrench tool right here and just right click down an octave from the highlighted note. So if this C is highlighted blue, down an octave from it would be this C right here. Right click it. We just put it down an octave, and that's it. That's a whole new version of that sound. We just pitched it down an octave. Now I can use that at some point in my beat just to change it up a little bit. Another version I like to do is go up an octave. So let's again copy that, hit that icon, hit Make Unique. If we went down 1200 last time, you'd have to go up 1200. But wait, we're already at plus 100. 100 plus 1200 is 1300. We can't get to that because it caps it at 1200. So we do my other strategy. Just go to the wrench. This time we right click an octave higher. So instead of this C here, go to the next C above it, right click it. This will take it up an octave. Now it depends on the sound, but usually when I put it up an octave, the sound might be a little bit sharp or harsh for your ears to hear. So this is what I do. I take it, I go into the mixer. First thing I do is add an EQ. I like Fruity Parametric EQ too. We can make that full screen so you can see. And if it's sharp and harsh, you want to cut the high end down so those high frequencies aren't killing your ears so much. So I take this end, this right end, gradually drag it back. Now it's not so sharp. The other thing I'll do is add reverb. This will kind of soften it up a little bit as well. Add some more ambience to it. See how with that EQ, cutting those high frequencies and adding some reverb just softens up the sound? That's another great way that you can get away with putting it up an octave without it being sonically too difficult to listen to. So that's 3 variations. We have our main chords now. We have our lower octave chords and our higher octave chords. I love to have at least 3 versions of the sound to structure throughout my beat. Now that we have these 3 versions of the chords, I'm going to add a little melody in here. So that works and it sounds good over the different octave switch ups that we have. But the next question that I ask myself is, can this melody stand alone? Can it be by itself if I were to take out the main sounds? And I ask myself that question because if I were to have a section without those main guitar stab chords, what could I have to fill up that space until that guitar comes back? We need something that can support itself, and just this melody by itself isn't going to do it. So why not some chords? Super subtle, doesn't do too much, but it's just enough that if I wanted to put some drums underneath this, it would sound fine. I don't know if you realize, but we already created 4 different versions that we could play throughout the beat just to give it that variation and to keep it interesting. That's one of the most important things to take away when it comes to structuring and arrangement. You don't want your listener getting bored hearing the same patterns over and over again. With 4 different sections, we're setting ourselves up for success. Since I'm feeling really confident about the different versions that we have for this beat, my next step would be to add some simple pieces of ear candy here and there. So I ended up adding a pad. And with this, I think about space. Like we have this melody here, occupies most of the first bar. Then we have this empty space. So that's why I added this pad just to fill it up. Super subtle sound again. And then we have this bar open, so I added this extra guitar riff. And that leaves this last bar open as well. So I added a really simple vocal sample. Instead of repeating that guitar riff, I'm keeping it interesting, introduce a new sound for a second, just a little vocal sample. And then we add the Rhodes in. This could be the beat by itself, like I was saying before. We don't need that main guitar sound. This is good enough as it is. And when you want to add that guitar, you can add it, and it really completes the whole thing. So before I show you how I applied it in the beat with the drums and everything, I just want you to understand options are your best friend when it comes to arrangement. I would much rather have a bunch of different versions and variations and elements to add and take out whenever I want, rather than feel stuck because I don't have enough music to work with. So here's how I apply all the elements that we just created in an actual beat. We start with the guitar chords and the melody. And I use that vocal sample here at the end just to lead us into the hook. Then we come to that first chord switch where we go up an octave. And we're adding different melody sounds throughout, like the pad, the riff, the vocal. And then again, we have another octave switch from the high octave to the low octave here for more variation. And then our fourth section, like I was saying, if we were to take that main guitar out, do I have something that could stand on its own with the beat? And I made those chords with that guitar melody just for that. And that's great because it gives us a break from that main guitar, so when I want to bring it back in the next hook, it will sound fresh again. I personally teach these things and show you how to apply them in your own beats in a number of my courses, like the Music Theory Masters course, which is a great introduction for anyone looking to get more into music theory, my Advanced Chords course for those looking to get to that higher level, or my Master of Melody course, which really goes over the art of beautiful melody creation and what goes into it. These courses have helped thousands of people become skilled and knowledgeable producers. So if you'd like to find out more, I left a link down below for you. So that covers the chords and the melodies and the music variation of arrangement. But another thing you could do to keep your beats interesting is get the drums involved. For this example, we're looking at another beat I did that uses sounds from my brand new iconic drum kit, which is known to never disappoint. It's got over 80 sounds that are designed to be crispy in every beat you use them in. Chambers. So what we're looking at right there is, a finished hook. All the drums are done, the music's done. My goal with this though is to create some contrast in the drums and add another section, sort of like we did with those chords where we changed up the octaves. This time I want to change up the drums to keep it interesting in the beat. We're going to do it right here. As you can see, we moved from this higher octave pad to this lower octave pad. So there's already a switch up with the octaves. We're also going to add those drums and just make the beat so much more interesting. Aside from having some of the greatest drum sounds you're ever going to use, I specifically made all different types of sounds and textures within the kit so you could have these contrasting drum patterns. Like with the 808s, you could have some that hit really hard like this, or you could have some like cooler, more creative sounds. It's very versatile. I'm going to go for one of the more creative ones. Let's add that into the channel rack. I'll just take this pattern, copy it over here. I'll make this one unique. Go into the channel rack, you hit Control C to copy it. Let's bring it down into the new 808. Now, aside from just changing the 808 sound, I'm also going to change up the pattern just to really give it more contrast to make this whole thing a lot more entertaining to listen to. The other thing I like to change besides the 808 is the snare or the clap. We have to first figure out what we had before. So that's a snare. To create some contrast, I'm gonna change the sound out to a clap. So let's look at here. Again, I have some really interesting sounds. You could have your go-to reliable clap, maybe something with some cool effects on it. And I'll just go through and listen to different sounds and what they sound like in the context. I like this one because it's just really, really cool sounding. So I'll add that. Let's make a new pattern, put it on the 3 and the 7. Might make a pattern unique. Let's add another one, down in pitch, down in velocity. Time for the hi-hats. So before we had like a really tight sounding hat, let me go sound shopping in the iconic drum kit. And I want to use a completely different sound, like this. This is kind of cool. Add new pattern, fill these 2 steps. And I also love to drop it down in pitch. From here, I'll do rolls and pauses and triple hits and whatever. Tried some other sounds out, added some more changes to it, and this is what we have so far. It's just a cool little section where you could get more creative and throw in some different types of sounds just to keep that beat flowing and keep the listeners intrigued. Definitely want to get into it with the open hats. Before we had like a shorter open hat, so I'm gonna use one of the ones that's like really extends way out. This one is dangerous though. Open sizzling, like layering that with the 808. Oh my goodness, bro. Crispy. Let's get some cool percussion sounds in here as well. This thing. All right, let's get like that. Let's get like that. Just lower the volume a little bit and let's get a cool little rim shot out of here. Add ourselves another pattern. Let's go with that and that. Let me get like a pom 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 pom, and then we do a 4 count at the end. Hold on, let me set that up. I was trying to do elevator music, but this is probably better. And then let's hear it when it goes into that section again. Just makes it really interesting. See how much of a difference that makes and how much cooler the beat is because we use those iconic drum sounds? When you have really fire sounds like that, it allows you to be so much more creative with your process. When you think about the techniques I showed you today, it's really just structuring on the go, and it makes it a lot easier and a lot less intimidating when it's time to figure it out. Remember, options are your friend. You can learn all about making great chord progressions and layers of melody to create these options for yourself with the various music theory courses I teach. And of course, having a versatile drum kit with contrasting sounds in it makes your beats so much more interesting, so make sure to grab that iconic drum kit. All links are in the comment section and in the description below for you. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, drop a comment down below. Let me know what videos you guys want to see me do in the future. It's Chambers from chambersmixedit.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.